Hi, I'm Alex Ogus, and I'm a director, and I've been doing commercials for about 15 years. This was a job that came to me from my rep in Paris, and my first thought was, "Oh shit, how are we gonna pull this off?" They didn't want to use CGI, and I didn't want to use CGI. That was part of my pitch. I was like, "Look, we need to get real wolves. We got to get them on location. Don't shoot it on a stage, and actually get them to do this." And the other thing we had to do is because these were live wolves in basically the middle of nowhere in nature, they had to build a fence, a kilometer around the entire set. The way these trainers get these wolves to do what they want is they keep little chickens in their pouch that are freshly killed. What he would do is he would sometimes put the chicken on the end of a stick. I said, "You know what? Why don't you take that stick with the chicken on the end and just kind of wave it up and down like this, like this." And then what happened was the wolf started nodding its head as if it's dancing to watch the motion of the chicken on the end of the stick. The actors were supposed to actually originally sing. In the casting, this guy came in and he just started like kind of beatboxing. And he was actually really good at it. It's kind of more primal and it's more surprising and unexpected. So when he did this was this natural way of progressing into the whole group singing "You've Got to Pump It Up." When we're shooting these master shots of the wolves, we could never shoot all of them in one shot. The trainer said, "That's impossible. You can't have a wolf next to another one. They'll attack one another. You can't do that." So what we had to do was we had to shoot these plate shots and shoot one wolf at a time and mark on the ground or the rocks where that wolf would be. And I had to do this times, I think it was 5. You can imagine how long these plate shots took to shoot. The experience of shooting that job, the wolves, was also really satisfying because of how difficult it really was. There was so much pressure on this job, but I think pressure is a good thing because it forces you to be more creative, be even more in the moment, and be even more driven to achieve something special.
Hey man, you know what time it is? Time for me to punch you in the ribs. Does this bus go to your mom's house? Because I'm gonna go have sex with her and she hates it when I'm late.
The job for the Fight Network began with the client telling us, "You know what? Do what you want. You are the expert. Just make it funny. No pressure." We wanted to shoot this to make it look like we're just capturing reality. Like this is really happening and we just happen to shoot it and away we go. So the idea was to shoot it with a long lens, get the camera back as far as possible so that the people that the guy would be accosting would never see us. That was the idea. Just to capture these moments as they're happening right before us, to give us the illusion that this is all reality. This is really happening. So then it started with the search for like, who's gonna play this guy? And we saw a whole bunch of non-union actors and we wanted to see people from stand-up because that was just appropriate for this type of script. And then when this one guy came in and he was just coming up with stuff, improvising, and we were all just laughing in the room and we just looked at each other like, okay, this is the guy. We didn't want it to feel and look like this slick, well-produced commercial. It had to feel almost handmade, like somebody picked up a camera and just grabbed it. So another technique that we used to make this work and make it feel real and be able to also communicate with the actor in the moment was that we had him wear an earpiece. If you watch the parking lot spot, there's a moment when he kind of cocks his head and he pauses and it looks like he's thinking. Well, he's not. He's actually listening to me telling him something to do. It was one of those rare things where something we had to come up with to actually communicate with him without stopping the take made it seem a little more real because it looked like the wheels were turning in his head. I've been fortunate to shoot a lot of really interesting projects over the years and I've had a lot of fun. And once we had finally cracked the code on that creative, that was an incredible feeling of accomplishment when you are being put through such a difficult situation and the clock is ticking, and you've got to figure it out because there's no other opportunity but this moment to get it right. So for the Heart Guard job, I'd actually done a previous campaign for them, and we were fortunate in that the first campaign had done very well for the client. We needed to have a really large spectrum of dogs, of very exotic dogs. We shot this in England because of a particular trainer there that was excellent. And one of the dogs in the script was called a Puli. And they bring in the dog, and I'm looking at the dog. But a second later, I just have this terrible stench that hits my face. I'm like, what is that smell? I'm like, it was just any smell that you've smelled in your life, I guarantee you, this is worse. One of the things that is key with casting animals is very much like casting people. You want somebody, in this case a dog, to walk into the room, and you need to feel something. Do they have personality? What's going on in their eyes? How do they emote something? How do they move? There were many moments in these little vignettes where the dog had to do something very specific for it to work. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the dog actually did that. Part of just the fact that we were able to work in England with a crew that was just superb. And the fact that we got these dogs to give us those performances was amazing, because there were many people around that thought, oh, the dog is never going to do that. And then sure enough, they did. So the fact that we got it and it worked, and you watch the spot and hopefully it at least makes you smile and are charmed by the creative, then we did our job.